friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction video 540. Day in that neighborhood. My brothers and sisters, it is that time to get into another one of these true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious what the is going on type of videos. And today, we're going back to my brother from another mother. And that brother is Jose Ortiz from Evil Intentions. Back to Evil Intentions, y'all. And the title of this video is a lot to take in. Beaten, force-fed poison, left in landfill with city's garbage. The story of Amy Burney. Now, like I said, man, that's a lot to take in. But then you add on to the fact that if you looked at Jose Ortiz's thumbnail, or if you looked at my thumbnail, you would know that Amy is like 3, 4, 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? This is a very young little girl that we talking about that this stuff happened to. So when you put all that into the pot and think about it, it's just like, oh my freaking God. We about to go on a wild, crazy ride, y'all. And it's going to be a rough one. But before we go on that ride, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We back to Jose Ortiz from Evil Intentions. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
Ma, is that you? No, I wish I was there too. I'm gonna sing your favorite song for you, okay?
You want something?
Okay?
Take it and go. I don't want no trouble. You just take it. I don't want no trouble.
You know he had his nerve. Be done with the trouble of the world.
What's up with girlfriend over there? Is she born again or something?
No more weeping and wailing. I'm going home.
Only in New York, right? Only in New York.
With the Lord, I want to see my mother.
Oh, no, she's not crazy. Something bad just happened.
To see my mother.
The footage you just watched is taken from the film Subway Stories, Tales from the Underground. It shows a young woman who's trying her best to make it to her mother who's fallen ill and on her deathbed at a hospital. Thanks to New York's notoriously unpredictable subway system, she's unable to make it on time, so singing her mother her favorite song over a payphone during her final moments is her only option. At first, she's judged, until the others on the platform realize that what they're witnessing is a moment of overwhelming grief. For me, this scene has always shown the strong bond between mother and daughter, without even having to show the mother. Many may see this scene and not see themselves singing at the top of their lungs in the middle of a subway platform, but regardless, you can definitely feel this woman's pain. The thought of not being able to make it in time as a loved one fades away is enough to tear you apart alone. Because when you think of the bond between mother and daughter, or a mother and her children in general, you might think of unconditional love, a nurturing relationship, gentleness, trust, children who grow up to confide in their mother, eventually becoming best friends. Now, this isn't saying that if you didn't have this type of relationship with your mother, it means any less. Everyone is different, and everyone does what works for them. Sadly, there are some children who don't even live long enough to feel this way about their parents. The bond is broken before it ever even formed, because their relationship with their parents is the complete opposite of what I've described. Whether it be something that's learned generations before, mental health, or something else entirely that comes over people, parents are sometimes a child's worst enemy. In this case specifically, it was a mother, one that should have been protecting her child. But this is something we've seen before. And each time this happens, the cold, harsh realities of child abuse and the failures of child protective services are put on full display. But it seems that nothing ever actually changes. On today's episode of Evil Intentions, this is Witch's Brew, the story of Amy Burney.
Get whatever you may need. And that girl in that movie killed that scene, man. And you can feel how much like she cared about her mama. And then when Jose gave us the context that her mama was actually dying, and that's why she was singing to her on the phone, because she couldn't make it to her. It's just crazy, man. I almost want to watch that movie. You know what I'm saying? Just from that freaking scene. But it's also like Jose said, man, everybody ain't blessed with great parents out here. But it's better being blessed with no parents at all than being goddamn cursed with parents that do evil stuff to you, like we have seen plenty of times from his channel, and like we about to see again. Let's go.
Rosa Downing wanted to explain why no one can find her granddaughter, 5-year-old Amy Burney, but Amy's grandmother told police the girl is dead, that she died on this bed after complaining of...
5-year-old Amy Michelle Burney was born in 1992 and resided in the Bronx. She lived at 2769 University Ave on 195th Street with her mother, grandmother, and 2 younger siblings, ages 3 and 6 months old. The building is a 5-floor walk-up, and even back in the 90s was known as very clean and always taken care of. Never any signs of strange activity, no congregating in the hallways, seen as a decent location. A place where residents decorate their doors during the holidays, where people are friendly with one another. It stands on a long strip of other homes and apartment buildings in the same condition. This was Amy's home. She had spent most of her time at the basement apartment here, but this isn't where her story begins. Before moving to New York City, Amy lived in Miami, Florida, an entirely different world from the Bronx. She lived in Florida because the woman who gave birth to her spent a great deal of time out there before. Angelique Burney, the child's mother, was sent from New York City to live in Florida at around 7 years old by her mother, Rosa Downing, who also went by the last name Wilkerson. There were moments where Downing didn't feel as if she was fit to be a parent and had trouble raising her 4 children. That's why she sent them to live with her brother and his wife. That would have been around 1980. Those relatives raised the 4 kids as if they were their own, and Miami was the place they were used to. By the time her senior year of high school hit, Angelique would drop out of school and move to Lakeland, Florida, about 4 hours away from Miami. She had children of her own, including Amy, her oldest, and things were normal for some time. On the weekends, Amy and her siblings would be taken back to Miami to spend time with their family who helped raise them, and her mother. Amy was described as a happy, intelligent, and very active child, someone who just loved interacting with anyone and everyone she was around. She was talkative and very curious, able to hold a conversation for long periods of time, and loved playing with her siblings. In many ways, she was just like a lot of other kids her age, her whole life ahead of her, and always a vibrant child. For a while, a happy life in Florida was all Amy ever knew. But by 1996, she was on her way to New York City to live in the Bronx, and things here were very different. They would move to University Ave, where Amy's grandmother already lived. According to reports, this was because the child's mother wanted to rebuild a relationship with her mother, Rosa, someone she never really got to know, since she was sent to live in Florida at a young age, as mentioned. It had been 16 years since Burney and Downing saw one another. The move from Florida to New York was a big one. It was obviously very different, trading in the sunshine and warm weather for the city, where you could get the sunshine for a limited time, but the winter seasons can be brutal. Amy was enrolled in new to kindergarten at Public School 226 on West Burnside Ave, also known as Nadia J. Pagan Primary School. It was only about 10 minutes from the home. Now this is when Amy should have been getting to know kids her own age, learning new things, and growing with her peers. But by 1997, just a year after reaching New York City, things would change dramatically, and in the worst way possible. On February 27th of 1997, the Administration for Children's Services were contacted about possible abuse because of deep scratches and a head injury Amy somehow sustained. They were minor injuries, but teachers at PS 226 noticed that the injuries hadn't been treated and suspected that she wasn't being properly cared for. The next day,
and I'm wondering, y'all, like, who has caused these injuries to her? Is it her mama, which I'm thinking is more than likely is, or is it the grandma? You know what I'm saying? That's a possibility too. Or is the grandma and the mama? Or do the grandma know about the mama doing it but not reporting it to anybody or doing anything about it? Either way it go, it's evil. Let's go.
February 28th, a caseworker visited their home to see exactly what was happening. They were told Amy took a bump in her room and it was an accident. A meeting was set for a week from then, and on March 6th, the family would meet with the same caseworker at an ACS field office in the Bronx. 4 days later, the morning of March 10th, the caseworker visited Amy's school and asked the teachers and counselors about anything that they might know. That same evening, Amy was taken to the hospital by her mother to be treated for, quote, severe bruises and sprains. Some of those bruises included black eyes. But when asked how the child got the injuries, they were told by the grandmother and mother that they had no idea. It was said that the hospital didn't believe the injuries to be abuse and never reported the injuries to New York's child abuse hotline. At the end of March of 1997, it was clear to the social worker overseeing the case that there was indeed abuse in this household, so he would suggest getting the family put into an abuse prevention agency, basically looking for a way to stop the abuse, but not removing the children.
And see, that's where they fucking up at. Now, see, now I'm starting to get mad at the story, y'all. Here go the part where I started to heat up. The damn people who over this case should have took these kids out of this house. How in the hell, and like I was wondering earlier, I was like, who it is, the mama or the grandma? Or is it both of them? Vice versa, whatever. Come to find out it's both of them, because how in the hell y'all gonna sit up here and say, y'all don't know how she got a black eye. Y'all don't know how she got all these bruises. They have no idea how this happened. It just magically appeared. It come from, man, it come from them. Long story short, story long, just like I already know y'all thinking, Bean Team. It come from freaking them. It's clear as freaking day. But how in the hell child services don't understand that? They literally said that they don't think it was abuse that caused these injuries. Really? Well, how in the hell else did it happen? Let's go. And then it wasn't like it just happened one time. This was multiple times. This was building up. Let's go.
Throughout April and May of 1997, more visits were made to the home, and Amy's case was referred to another agency to try and stop the abuse. But anytime caseworkers visited after April 10th, they were told that Amy wasn't there. According to her mother and grandmother, Amy had gone back to Florida to live with family. They found this sudden move very strange. It was the timing of it all. She's sent to live with family in another state in the midst of abuse allegations. It was something that they'd heard and seen before. So they went back to her school to see if teachers or students had seen her at all. The school said the same thing. They were told she went back to Florida to be with family. They hadn't seen her, and it didn't sit well with them. On May 14th of 1997, the Administration for Child Services would make several calls to child services in Florida, and the next day, through their investigation, an unsettling discovery was made. It turns out, the name and telephone number provided by Amy's mother weren't even real. The person supposedly caring for the child didn't exist. They contacted the relatives Amy previously lived with in Florida and they too said they hadn't seen the child. It was now very clear that the social workers were being lied to. The child's mother and grandmother were clearly hiding something. And most disturbing of all, Amy, just 5 years old, was missing. On May 16th.
It's like, man, this is so crazy for it to be the mama and the grandma in cahoots doing this together. But it's like they just keep on freaking lying. Now they got to the point of lying about they didn't kill this girl, this little baby, man. We just gone. We already know what it is. And you, instead of telling the actual truth, you rather lie and say you sent her back to Florida. Like they just not gonna stop lying. These gonna be the type of people who gonna lie even when they get locked up. And Lord, please let them be locked up forever.
18th of 1997, Angelique Burney was brought before a family court judge and grilled about the child's whereabouts. She had no response. She couldn't tell the judge where her daughter was. It was as if she had just vanished, but they knew there was more to it. And because of this, she was arrested on the spot and taken to Rikers. Her other children were put in foster care. Between May 17th and May 18th of 1997, both mother and grandmother were in police custody and questioned separately. After hours and hours of denial and claiming to know nothing about where Amy was, the child's grandmother made a sickening confession. She told authorities that for days, back in April, the child had complained of bad stomach pains. Instead of getting her any type of help like you would expect, they left her that way, in severe pain. And soon after, the child was dead. They said it was of natural causes. Downing would say that due to the child abuse allegations made against them, they were afraid to report her death because they'd automatically look guilty. Back when teachers reported injuries on Amy's head, they were told by the grandmother and mother that she fell off a bed and hit her head on a part of the floor that had exposed concrete. But even if that were true, it went untreated because they didn't get her any help. Now, after obvious abuse, she was dead. Even after she died, nothing was reported. Instead, Amy's small body was left in a bedroom at the apartment. She was on a small mattress as her body slowly decomposed, with her family in the other rooms just going on as if nothing happened. According to Downing, the smell over time was overwhelming, overpowering the entire home. She was on that bed for almost 2 weeks. This is when she and Angelique Burney took Amy's corpse, wrapped her in several blankets and sheets, and threw her out front with the building's trash. The bubbly and talkative 5-year-old was put out with the garbage as if she didn't matter to anyone. The news was enough to make authorities sick and furious. It also didn't sound real. Given the history of abuse allegations, they had no reason to give them the benefit of the doubt. They were surely guilty of extreme neglect, at the very least. Interviews with neighbors also revealed that Amy was barely ever seen. The hyper and happy child who would speak to anyone back in Florida was extremely quiet and withdrawn when she arrived in the Bronx. She didn't talk to neighbors. She didn't have many friends. When it was warm out and other kids in the neighborhood were out front playing together, Amy was never allowed to join. All she could do is hear the kids or see them as they came and went. She was always kept inside. She didn't have much of a chance to make friends at school either because she was often absent. She had missed about 30 days of school in the first 3 months of the year alone. All these signs are huge red flags when it comes to a child's well-being. In the case of Justina Morales, the excuses were nearly identical. It's always, the kid moved, or they went to live with their father or some other relative. Little did authorities and child welfare know that when they were visiting that home looking for her, the child's body had already been long gone.
And sometime when they was visiting that home looking for her body probably was still in there, man. You know what I'm saying? Did y'all hear when Jose said that the grandma claimed that they let her corpse lay on that bed for over 2 weeks and then they just decided, we just gonna throw her away. Your grandchild and your daughter's daughter. You know what I'm like? What in the freak, man? This is crazy. This is a 5-year-old. Why would y'all do this? I don't understand it, man.
And we had panicked. And we had put her in a plastic bag. He was like in his crib mattress, and we put her in there and stuck her outside. I know she was put out in the front But after that, I don't know where she went after that. I wasn't so much afraid, it's just that I had panic. We had panic.
Even with all that information, detectives from the 50th Precinct were not ready for what they would learn next. They weren't satisfied with the answers that they had gotten out of the women, and after more questioning, the cold and twisted truth about what happened to Amy was revealed. On April 27th of 1997, Angelique Burney and Rosa Downing believed Amy was possessed by a demon and she was filled with evil. No reason was given as to why they would ever think something like this, but their solution was to exorcise the demons out of her. They would take Amy and both hold her body down and forced a deadly mixture of ammonia, pepper, olive oil, and vinegar down her throat. They say that she growled as they forced her to drink it, and when they were done pouring, they would tape her mouth shut so that she couldn't throw it up. As suspected, the talks of natural causes being the reason Amy was dead were untrue. They were the reason that she was gone, the very people who should have been caring for her. And all of this was done because they believed that she was evil. When her body began to decompose, they put her out front with anything else that they would throw out. Her body was thrown into a garbage truck by unsuspecting sanitation workers, and it's believed that she ended up at the Fresh Kills landfill on Staten Island. For those unfamiliar, Fresh Kills was a huge landfill that spanned more than 2,000 acres. It was closed in 2001, but at the time of Amy's death, it was where everything went, and authorities were now tasked with sectioning off 25,000 square feet of the landfill to see if they could find her body. It would be a grueling process, but every effort was made to try and find her. News of the child's shocking death quickly made its way around, and word of the so-called witch's brew she was forced to ingest left everyone sick to their stomachs and in complete disbelief. Those familiar with the family literally couldn't believe what they were hearing.
Now, I can't believe what I'm hearing now, y'all. I forgot all about the force-fed her poison part. You know what I'm saying, man? Did you just hear what Jose said? That I know I keep stressing it, but I'm just saying, man, the mother and the grandmother of this little baby, the two women in her life that she looks up to the most, fed her the most craziest concoction of stuff and then tape the mouth shut to freaking kill her. And that ain't even the craziest part. The craziest part is the reason they say they did it is because they thought she was possessed with a demon. A little 5-year-old, your granddaughter, your daughter, y'all think she possessed with a demon, so you mix all these terrible things up and make her drink it? It went from crazy to making me mad to making me sick to just making me confused to just making me feel like, man, some people, some children are just born with the worst luck ever. That's why I was saying earlier, y'all, it's one thing to not have parents in your life, but it's a whole nother thing to have parents in your life that's gonna be a curse before it's gonna be a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Jesus Christ, at this point, I'd rather for her to just been held up for adoption, all these kids. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully she can get some better foster parents than her real freaking parents. This is just, I'd have had enough of this one.
Police last night searched their Kingsbridge apartment, leaving with bags of evidence in what they say is officially a missing persons case.
Amy Burney never had a chance. The 5-year-old poisoned to death, her dead body left in the garbage, allegedly by those who should have loved her the most.
She had been forced to swallow a mixture of ammonia, vinegar, pepper, and olive oil, that she was restrained and that her mouth was gagged, and that she was intentionally forced to ingest this mixture by both her grandmother and her mother.
25-year-old Angelique Burney was arrested Saturday along with her mother, 46-year-old Rosa Wilkerson. Cops say the pair murdered Amy nearly 3 weeks ago inside their Bronx apartment and then threw the body away.
We don't know exactly why she was forced to ingest the chemicals, whether it was for punishment or to have some other effect on her.
The family has been monitored by the Administration for Children's Services since February, after Amy's teacher reported scratches and bruises on the girl's face. The family told officials that Amy fell out of bed, but caseworkers weren't convinced and continued to keep an eye on the family. Just over a week ago, they realized Amy was missing, but it was too late to protect her.
Yes, the girl is dead. It's a tragedy. They were not able to avoid the tragedy. However, what they were able to do was conduct the kind of aggressive investigation that ended up in these people being arrested today. You're never going to avoid every tragedy.
Amy lived here on University Avenue in the Bronx, where residents expressed shock and disbelief at the news that one of their own committed this awful crime.
I know her. I don't believe she would do that to her child. I don't. And I'm praying to God above that it's not true. That it's not true.
I don't believe the girl is dead. I really don't. I can't. Not until they find her body, then I'll probably believe it.
Officials hope to find the body at the Fresh Kills landfill on Staten Island. They've isolated a 100 by 250 foot section where they believe Amy is buried. Even after her body is found, residents promise to keep her memory alive.
While neighbors may have been in denial about what these women did, there was no denying that this was very real, no matter what or how they felt. While an innocent, loving child's corpse lay in a literal landfill out here, the question everyone kept asking was, did these women really do this? The whole thing brought back awful and very familiar memories, reminiscent of Nadine Lockwood's death less than a year before this.
I never knew that little girl was alive. I never knew she had another 7th kid.
Led away for killing her child. This is the lady that took care of her children.
And Justina Morales, the child who never played with other kids outside and was left in an abandoned lot after being brutalized and forced underwater by her own mother and her mother's boyfriend.
The little girl got in the way.
A similar situation in the 1997 Justina Morales case. Justina's mom made a deal with Brooklyn prosecutors to testify against her boyfriend. The jury refused to convict for murder and chose manslaughter.
For days, detectives would search the landfill, but they turned up with nothing. As authorities quickly unveiled this information, there were other parts that they would learn that gave them a better perspective of how and why this all happened. It turns out that back when Amy's grandmother had her children, back when she sent Angelique and her siblings to live in Florida with family back in 1980, it wasn't just because she was overwhelmed. According to reports, one major reason was because she made claims that her oldest daughter was possessed by demons, the same exact claim that was made about Amy. Once the children were sent to Florida, those who raised them stated that the children were just as normal as any other kids. It seems that those claims that she made back in 1980 about her own daughter would trickle down to her granddaughter all those years later. But when it came to Amy, authorities weren't buying the supernatural excuses. They believed that this was just an attempt to appear unfit for trial, to maybe pull off an insanity plea. Either way, it takes a certain kind of person to do this to a child. Neighbors who thought they knew these women now knew the cold truth. One person was quoted as saying, "We spoke about the Lord and what was happening in the world. We even talked about children being abused, about why would parents do that." She said, "I don't know why parents abuse their kids, because they're the gift from God." The two people arrested, it's like two different people from the people I know.
And I get it too, y'all. I understand, like, the two women that we seen in the video and saying, like, I would never believe that she would do that to her kids. She loved her kids. This woman was so loving and stuff. I believe that people can be in denial like that. Because think about it, y'all. Think about it, Bean Team. Think about, I'm not going to even say one of your friends, but I'm just going to say like a coworker or acquaintance, somebody that you see every day or most of the days, you know what I'm saying, throughout the week. And you know that they got a family, they got their own kids and stuff. And then you find out that they done did something like this to their children. You will be in denial too. Like, what the freak? It's hard for me to believe that, because on the outside looking in, it always looked like the grass is green on the inside. But some grass, some of these goddamn, the front lawn might look good, but the backyard is F the freak up. And that's what this going on right here. Man, it's just so fucking infuriating, my brothers and sisters. Like, why, man? Why do this? This girl was 5 fucking years old. I can't let it go. And then when you start talking about that she had demons, you the goddamn demon.
The two women were charged with second-degree murder and depraved indifference murder. Papers and news coverage detailed Amy's death. And even after years and years of stories like this, the reports were shocking. It sickened anyone who heard about it. Although many steps were taken by child services to figure out what happened, it was already far too late, and many felt that the children shouldn't have been left in the home once those red flags started to show. It didn't matter anymore though. Amy was gone, suffering one of the worst last moments imaginable, at the hands of the people who should have been loving her unconditionally, nurturing her, feeding her curiosity. It's hard to imagine what she might have been thinking those final moments, confused as to why the only family she knew wanted her dead so badly, probably wondering why nobody was there to help, questioning what she ever did to deserve this, the questions that detectives, neighbors, and others might have also been asking. All that was left after this was the hope that justice would be served. Angelique Burney and Rosa Downing were sentenced to 12.5 to 25 years in prison for the slaying of 5-year-old Amy Michelle Burney. But as of 2014, both of them are free.
Oh my God.
As reality set in at 2769 University Ave, there was no way to forget what happened, and there was definitely no denying it. It was an ugly truth that someone so close by, someone people often interacted with, would do something so horrendous to a child. But as quickly as the headlines hit the papers, they left them, and life on University Ave just went on. But not for Amy. Her life ended in just 5 years. Not enough time to finish school, to learn what she'd want to be when she grew up. Not enough time to form a bond with those who were supposed to love her. No time to experience the connection between mother and daughter that's written about in books and portrayed in movies. For the introduction of today's video, it would have been very easy to use clips from the many films where a child is possessed and has evil intentions. But those aren't real. And in those films, the child is evil. It's a work of fiction. It's a shame when that love from a child isn't reciprocated. Makes you wonder if anyone cried this way for Amy when her life was taken. Her life was reduced to a few articles, all part of a bigger story we've heard time and time again. I hope that with today's video, you've gotten to know who she was in her short life. She was more than just a headline and part of a huge problem with no end in sight, not only in this city, but the whole country and other parts of the world. If alive today, she would be 32 years old. Another child who slipped through the cracks. Another child's life snatched at the hands of a so-called parent. Rest in peace, Amy Michelle Burney, and my condolences go out to her siblings. You aren't forgotten.
Rest in peace to freaking Amy, y'all. This one here getting on my nerves so much, and I'm not even joking. I don't even know if y'all can see it for real, but my freaking eye twitching. It's literally freaking like twitching, like jumping, as some people may call it, y'all. It keep freaking twitching because this shit done got on my nerves so fucking much. And hide your goddamn children because the F-bombs and the S-words about to fucking fly. They about to fly, man, because the cherry on top of this whole bullshit of a story, you know what I'm saying, how tragic and how effed up it was as far as like the adults, the parents, the grandmama and stuff, it's the fact that they free now. And been free for 10 years. Jose said ever since 2014 being team. That's 10 years plus ago. They've been free out after doing this to a little 5-year-old, man. Poisoning this girl. There is nothing that anybody could tell me that they can justify feeding. We're not gonna even talk about all the other stuff they put into the ingredient, into this concoction of a witch's brew. Let's just talk about the fact that it had ammonia in it. You had a little 5-year-old drink ammonia. That right there still put your ass under the prison for the rest of your life, period. You know what I'm saying? That's enough right to freak there, man. Like this one, and all the warning signs, I feel like the child services people, they dropped the ball on this. Like, shout out to her teachers. Her teacher was letting people know, like, hey, man, this girl coming to school with bruises on her and stuff. And then the mama and the grandmama just dismissing it with, we don't, one of the damn claims they had was, we don't know how it happened. How in the hell you don't know how it happened? And then the whole talking about that she was a demon and all that. Like I said, man, y'all the freaking demons. This one here is just like, man, one of those stories that just leave you like, oh my freaking God, man. It's so, man, let me just say rest in peace one more time to Amy, man. Amy Burney, man. She'll be 32 years old today. Thank you, Jose, for even letting us know about her. And it kind of hit her even a little closer to me because I'm 33. Just thinking about that girl died at 5 and I used to be 5'4" when she was still alive, but I got to see until I'm 33. But she never even got to spend these last freaking years on earth because of some bullshit ass parents that she had that thank God I didn't have, but I could have had to. You know what I'm saying, man? It's just, oh my God, man. I feel so freaking bad on this one, y'all. Like, I feel terrible, man. This one right here just got me feeling terrible in so many freaking ways. It's such fucking bullshit. Long story short, short story long. I'm not gonna go no more my brothers and sisters. I'm getting hot. I'm about to break out into the sweat, man. I just appreciate y'all coming on back as always. I know I just got on my little soapbox of a tangent, but I couldn't help it, man. I just hope y'all hit that like button, y'all comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And come on back tomorrow because we going back to Mike from that chapter. But until then, my friends, I also need y'all to remember this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.